Good evening and welcome to the Trophy Club Crime Control and Prevention District Board meeting for April 23rd, 2025. And Leo made it, so we have 100%.
Right.
We do have a quorum. First item on the agenda is public comments. Do we have anybody signed up for any public comments?
We do not, no.
Okay. If no thank you, Julie, for saying no speakers, and we move on to the next item, individual items. Approval of the minutes from February the 12th. May I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
I move.
Second.
I second.
Okay. Item 2 is a budget amendment. Item 2 is to consider approval of a budget amendment for 2024 to 2025 CPTD budget, increasing it by $44,331 for vehicle upfitting.
Yep.
So, stuff for our new vehicles.
That's right. So last year, we had the budget to approve several vehicles. It took us a while to get those vehicles in. When they came in, the outfitter started to buy the equipment, but the fiscal year ran out and we exceeded a time limit, so that money rolled back into our fund balance. This is just an amendment to bring that money back into our budget. So if we approve it tonight, it'll go to council on Monday, and that money will be officially moved into our budget and allow us to spend it, to outfit those two cars, which we have sitting on the lot.
Can
So-
I ask a question? So is that in the, I'm just looking at the full year approved, is that the budget, right? The 312,685
It was in last year's budget?
in the 2024?
Yes, it was in the capital expense line item. And so that money rolled back in the fund balance after the September 30th date.
Okay,
So it's still sitting there, it's just not usable for us right now. So this money, this will bring it back into play for this fiscal year.
okay.
Chief, was it the same amount of money? Or you said it was in?
Yeah, it was a little bit, I think a little bit less,
Oh, okay.
yeah. We fear, we'll talk about that in the
Yeah,
next
okay.
agenda item, but yeah.
Okay, so we need to have a motion to approve this budget amendment.
So moved.
I second.
All right. The next thing is budget discussion.
Yep. So, thank you. So, at our next meeting, we will do a budget workshop. And we'll do a public notice and everything to start talking about our next year budget. But I just wanted to bring this forward to talk about the budget for this coming year. We're doing really well in our current budget, as you can see with our sheet here, with the exception of the upfitting of those two vehicles. What we're planning on doing for next year's budget is continuing to fund our programs as we have the last several years. You know, our education program for our elderly, our school programs with our SROs, our bike program, our community programs, National Night Out, all those things are continuing to be funded well. And we're going to roll that in the next year to continue to fund those. We have overtime we've been using for special projects. We have our special equipment, things like that. We are looking to move to switching our camera system. And in that would be our TASER program. Right now, we pay for our TASERs out of the CCPD funds. And we will continue to do that in a sort of a different way next year. If the council approves it and the town manager allows us to do it, we're looking to switch to Axon. Right now, we're currently on Motorola, but we use the Axon TASERs. So we're going to roll it into a single contract and continue to fund it partially out of the town general funds and CCPD funding. So hopefully that amount of money will stay the same over the next 5 years. But that would be a big change for the police department to switch to Axon. And then a special request really won't change the budget because it looks like we've been fairly consistent on maintaining the same budget number every year, and that revenue is coming a little higher each year. So I was going to ask to have $20,000 or $21,000 added to the budget to fund a new sighting system for our firearms. It's a red dot system for our guns, and Lieutenant Coletta will come up in a second and show us what that looks like. But for $21,000, we can buy the sighting system for all of our guns and the holsters to go with it, and some training.
So
So-
is that reflected somewhere already on, or are we
It's,
doing that?
it's on this sheet here for
Yeah.
26. So if you look at our small equipment line, like most of the way down in the total personnel
Okay.
items,
Yeah.
you see the small equipment line jumps to 106,000. And also, I'm going to present at the next meeting a possibility of starting a drone program. So a lot of departments around us have drones, something the guys are looking at. It does give us an advantage. We wouldn't buy a bunch, we'd buy one for about 12,000 and then train a member on each shift to work it, to operate it, and it'll be carried around by the supervisor. So, but it would have, up to an hour of flight time. It has a thermal imager, it has a high-powered zoom, stuff like that. So if we ever, like mainly for our golf carts and golf course, the parks, places where people, need to be seen, we could go out there and search a lot faster than trying to do it on foot. So that's something we're talking about. And we'll get in a little more detail at the next meeting. But that's really what I wanted to lay out in this program. That's what this discussion is about, to have you start thinking about things for the next budget year. And some possible education classes, like we're still doing the elderly training. We did the fraud stuff last year. We did 3 classes last year. We just started this year. We've done the internet fraud, but we've enhanced that class a little bit and added more of a threat assessment to it. And we just did our first class at the Activity Center the other night. We had 17 people show up.
Yeah.
So
Was well
it was good,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So got a lot of positive feedback from that. So that's the kind of programs that we're doing now. And we're also doing the strategic plan for the town, includes our traffic safety study, which this program covers a lot of that. We've done the speed trailer that gives us the speed data all over town. That's been a fantastic project for us, identifying, what traffic is really doing in town. So if you haven't seen that, I think I showed you guys that at the last meeting, some of the data that thing has been presenting to us about how fast people are going. It gives us the data, the date and the time people are traveling through and speeding, giving us, the ability to move our enforcement around a little bit. And then golf cart safety, I think Roy's on our traffic safety thing, so we're moving forward with that. So that's going to help with this program too, is identifying some of those projects to take in the next year, enforcement type stuff. I know I'm talking fast, I apologize. Any questions so far?
So Chief,
Yes, sir.
sorry, please.
No, go ahead.
Is now the time if we have a question or a comment about one of the things that you mentioned, or are you saying you're going to do
Yeah,
that
no,
later?
yeah, we could, what I'll do is I'll bring back much more detail for the questions you bring.
The only thing I'm going to recommend that if we are going to be moving towards drones, just from experience, you should do 2.
Okay,
Because you really can't,
Absolutely.
you can't do an operation with 1 drone.
okay,
So, at a minimum, you want to.
okay. Thank you, sir. I
And
appreciate that.
If you lose it, how long does it take you to get the replacement? That's why you always have 2.
Okay, no, thank you.
I've lost several.
Okay, but I do that. So, yes, sir, you had a question?
I got a question. So you mentioned earlier we had a bike program, bike safety, is that right?
Yes.
Does that include, I see a lot now where the kids are riding the electric scooters, and those things, some of those move.
Yep.
And, my concern is I see a lot of them, and then there's a lot of this going on social media where, they're doing 25, 30 miles an hour with no helmet, no protective gear, no lights, even at night. And is there any way we could take the bike program and kind of add to it to help educate them? Because,
Yep.
let's be honest,
Yep.
we're all bulletproof at that age, right?
Right.
And,
Yep.
so that was just some feedback in that, because that just keeps on popping up on social media over and over and over.
All the time.
Yeah. And, the only thing is, heaven forbid, something happens one day. It's bad for the youth, bad for the family, bad for that driver, Because a lot of times they're wearing dark clothes.
Oh, no,
Well,
we,
the question is also, are they supposed to ride on the street, or are they riding on the sidewalk? Because we see both.
The ones that look like a motorcycle,
Yeah.
I'm thinking you got to have a driver's license, have it on the street. And I'm seeing kids that aren't anywhere near old enough to have a driver's license.
yep. Hold on. All of these topics are being discussed on our traffic safety program. Roy's been a part of this, and we're building recommendations and solutions for the town as we speak. So thank you for bringing that forward, but we are absolutely on that and working towards that. So within this quarter, we're going to provide recommendations to the town council, and
We just don't want to see anybody get hurt.
that's right.
Right,
Oh, absolutely. And ever since Christmas, that has dramatically increased
Oh, yeah.
throughout our town. With the electric scooters and bikes, we saw a dramatic increase in the use of those types of
Yeah,
devices.
our street was turned into a drag strip where they were
Yeah.
at one end and doing the,
Oh, yeah.
so
Yep.
a few of the dads got out there.
Yeah, we've gotten some calls and been over there, so.
Yeah.
So John's here, and he's going to show you real quick what that sighting system looks like. Yes,
Can
ma'am.
I just ask
Huh?
one quick
He's
thing?
going to walk around while he does this.
Under uniforms for protective clothing, you don't have any, excuse me, any budget set out. Do you have enough protective clothing? What protective
So-
clothing that,
So we roll that into our uniform budget, which is on the general fund side, and we have a replacement. You can show them. You can walk around. The ballistic, that's for our ballistic vest.
okay.
So,
I'm very
and
familiar with that.
we buy that under the general fund uniforms, but we also get a 50% reimbursement from the federal government for those. So that's sort of why
Are
we
you
don't
sure?
really use CCPD money
Are
for
you
that.
sure?
Yes.
Oh, you're going with that
Well,
one.
Yeah.
yeah,
It
don't-
doesn't
don't
come in
count it.
fast.
I did
Next
Don't
year.
count on anything from the federal
Don't count
government.
on
Green was
Get it in
That's,
bank.
that's true. This may be a new year,
But you
but,
still want to keep it
I
as a
like this.
separate line
What's the
item?
loop?
yeah, it's just an
1,000?
item there in case we ever do come back and
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah, that's
and
what I
re-
got.
Yeah,
yeah,
okay. I
realize
just want to make sure all those officers are
Stroke
protected.
on it too?
But we keep that in our, so, but yeah, John's going to walk around and show you real quick what that looks like, what our new system would look like.
You guys gonna do it, man? It's a road
Any other questions on that? And we're going to get into a lot more detail on this at the next meeting.
Okay.
So the plan is to do a workshop, and
Okay.
if we decide to move forward at that meeting, we have public notice that meeting, so if we wanted to approve it, we could. So, but this is something that's come around, and most of the police departments have already switched to it. And it does make a big difference. So I did get asked a question earlier about the training that the police department does and what the state requires. So TCOL, which is the license holder for the peace officer here in the state of Texas, requires that an officer qualify once a year and with a minimum score of 70. So we qualify twice a year and require a minimum score of 80. With this type of technology, you know, we may even consider raising that, because that's what this does for us is,
Because everything's iron sights right now.
yep.
And is this?
Do you
a-
guys use this yet?
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is this part of it too?
Well, that's already,
They already have those?
this is-
okay.
This is something that is
So
added
it's
to the
this
ones
and
you
the-
have.
Yeah, we already have the weapons that this mounts to.
Oh, it mounts to it.
Because you can see that this is raised up higher than
Right, right.
Sure.
Right.
So these sites are 3 times higher than a stone.
Yeah, all mine.
Did you guys,
There's the one. I went
Yeah.
with green, because red was harder for me to.
Mr. Daniels, did you guys raise your qualification with this or not yet?
we're not, probably not going to.
Okay.
Well, to the point of, it doesn't, there's no real advantage for us raising the qualification.
Right.
Because we still have those,
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, the department that large, I can.
right, so.
So, yeah.
Okay.
No, 80, just to put that little bit of pressure on them, 80 makes a
I was
difference.
about to say
I
80
can't
is
read all
is
that. What's
nice.
the name of it?
Yep. So,
Trigicon,
yeah.
RMR, stands for ruggedized miniature reflective lens.
Yeah. John's our firearms instructor and
Is it
armor.
USA made?
So,
I like that.
and he's going to go to specialized training to teach our guys how to use this.
Read me a
Chief,
TR.
do y'all have any of the training
Read me.
simulators? And what I mean by that is, for example,
I have a
for
reason.
Christmas, I got a Mantis system that I can mount on my pistol, and I can practice. It tells me exactly what I'm doing wrong in terms of too much trigger finger, too little trigger finger, too much pressure. I was wondering, if they're fairly inexpensive.
Yeah, we
I just want-
actually use the Glock training models.
Okay,
So
I've got
one is a
some, but I don't
trigger
think they're
pull
that nice.
model, and it tells you if your finger's too far to the left or
Okay.
right, that
Cool.
stuff. Yeah, it has a light on it. So we have, I think, 2 or 3 of those. So if an officer's having trouble, John assigns them that weapon, and they go use that for a week or 2 before they go to the range. Yes. So, yeah.
In case this fails, you still can use the manual fix size, which is what we have now.
Oh, which is much smaller. Right.
It's just your
It's like a
stand.
magnification.
Yep. Any other questions?
Oh, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So the body cameras we're using are Motorola's, right?
Yes, sir.
And then the tasers are?
Axon. Axon's the only one who makes the taser.
Is there a benefit with two of them being the same brand? Is there some sort of integration?
There, if you buy all the features, there's a ton of integration.
Okay,
So if I had my firearm in my holster and I had that component, the minute I take the firearm out or remove the taser, the camera automatically activates.
that's
And
perfect,
everybody around me's camera activates.
right,
So it
Not
has that type of integration. And Motorola has that right now.
yeah.
It's just,
Taser's just so much,
Is that included in the cost?
Taser's just so much farther advanced than everyone, whether people like
Is
it or
that
not.
part of the
They
$7
just,
something dollar
the
side?
integration between the systems
Yeah.
is so much, because we're actually gonna probably look at we have a different body worn camera, which we've been okay with, and we've kind of been one of the last adopters of Axon. They've been after us for a while, so this might be the year.
okay. yeah.
Does it make it
They've been
heavier
there, yeah.
slightly?
You know, and
It's a great system. Everybody around us uses it.
Oh,
So-
I
and-
think it's great.
Yeah, and with the fact that we use Roanoke as our port,
Oh, wow.
they have Axon, so it's a simple,
I just hope
They don't have to
nobody.
So
do
even
anything
if
different.
there's two different
Yeah.
police departments in there,
But
and
you
something
should
happens,
have
they all
Want
have
them
to
to
be
have
at
the
the same
best,
time?
you never have to use it.
Yeah.
If we're in a certain proximity.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's like
And
it's
you
a
can
matter of
set
moving.
how close you
Wow.
want it. Yeah.
Yeah.
so it all
Thank
starts
you.
talking
No,
to
that's
each
all
other.
good, because then you got all more angles.
Another given day.
Right, that's real good.
So, and the DA's office has a portal with Axon.
I used to have
Yeah.
Axon,
a guy.
so it makes a big
client of mine
difference.
down in, Mobile, Alabama, that his business was
Yeah,
kind of
and
out.
our body cameras are up for
And people
renewal,
broke in there and stuff.
so this is a great time to do it.
Do we purchase or lease those?
Right now, we purchase.
Stuff to cover sheetrock.
When we go to Axon, it'll be a lease. So every 3 years, they'll replace them automatically. The body cameras, the car cameras every 5 years.
Anything technology-wise, just
And,
lease it,
And
Well,
Arnold,
if you need
because it changes so
Kentucky
quickly.
handled your life.
somebody to come out, I'll
Brilliant.
volunteer.
They never had a. But he would spend the night
I'll
out there.
sacrifice.
And I got another question, full of them today. So, you know, we have that SWAT vehicle
Are you familiar
proposed,
with
whether we're gonna share,
magazine?
Yeah,
right?
that we purchased that last year.
Right,
I just
so
bought one for my,
just a curious question.
Shadow
There's
System,
five
which is
departments that
the
share that, right?
version I showed you,
Five?
same as the.
What happens if there's
classic,
two incidents at the
but
same
it's an
time?
18 round
Like whoever gets the,
mag, and it's a metal mag, and you don't have, unlike
Okay.
We call
shield arms,
other
where
agencies come out with their.
the way
That's
it's
a
okay,
very
I was just curious.
Just go a little bit further out.
Yeah, that's it. I was just curious, because I was like,
bring it in. Let you
Yeah.
You may need multiple SWAT teams,
yeah.
I should make sure that
just because it depends on
the hand goes back up.
so. Great
Good point.
question. But it'll
Oh,
be
yeah.
a touch of all.
That,
That'll be a test truck?
You don't want to.
I just want to drive it.
Go to somebody else.
Don't even come.
Can't be any worse than driving.
So
a
I
Datsun
will-
in the military.
I will talk to
Oh, it's a
the
lot
manager
better.
about adding a
Basically like
second
driving
drone.
an F-450.
And that may change the numbers, but thank you, that was a good input.
I mean, that's essentially how it's set up.
Thanks, Leo.
Yeah, thank you for the
Dallas County
drone
Sheriff
information. We'll
and he
talk
can
about
use a little-
upgrading the cost of
well,
that.
you need more than 6. I'm thinking.
Yep.
It's been a while since you've been wearing a uniform.
So when we're talking about cameras and stuff,
You can't have too much.
at one point in my memory, I got a little note that said
That's what he said,
that if you have a camera system up around your house, that you have to have a notice on your house
No way to do it.
that says, this property's under video surveillance.
Probably already, this year's already been approved.
And this came up when I had
That's a good,
a house that was vacant, being worked on for 2 months out in Harriet Creek, and the Fort Worth Police Department informed me of that.
Oh.
And the tenant never took it out of the window. They've been there 8 years now, because they like the idea of them thinking that they have video surveillance. They don't.
Oh, with just about, I think we're about 70% of people in this town have doorbell cameras.
Yes.
So,
I have a great alarm system. Weighs about 20 pounds, black and white,
dog,
black and white Boston Terrier. She hears something a block before it gets to our house.
But you need
you go.
feeding.
there you go.
Needs feeding.
She won't walk that far, but she can hear it.
There you go. That's good. Well, that's all I have for the budget discussion. You'll be getting an email from Julie, if not later this week, first thing next week, to set up our main
Next
meeting.
meeting.
So we'll send out a couple of dates.
Okay.
And once we lock that date in, that we'll have a quorum, we'll go ahead and do a public notice and start our way towards our budget.
So when does the budget need to be finalized?
By June. For us, by June, we have a little clock, but if we could, if we do it in May, then we get it done, then that's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, we would like to have it approved no later than July, but we usually do it in June. that way gives the town manager and finance time to incorporate it into the larger budget, which then goes to council for approval. And council has to approve it. If they don't approve it, we have to have time for us to have a joint meeting with council to resolve the difference, why it was not approved. So,
So our workshop will probably be like in May or something?
yep, we're
Okay.
going to do it in the
That's
next,
good, yeah.
within the next month, so,
Yeah.
yep.
Any further business? There's no further business. We're hereby adjourned at 6:20.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.